connect, serve, and grow is what you can expect at the House of Reconciliation. Leadership, community, education, wellness, and participation is part of our plan for your spiritual growth and success. Family and faith is a core value for the House of Reconciliation, working to help people find their purpose. Want to make an impact in the kingdom? Ready to tap into your future? Meet us at the House Sundays with Pastor Reginald Campbell, www.houseofreconciliation.org.
Bread of life that I received today is not only for me,
Connect, serve, and grow,
but to be shared with others that they may grow in Christ as well as myself for the purpose of successful living. Thank you. You may be seated. So yeah, I am happy to be home. Many of you text me, checked on me. Thank you for that. Thank all of you for your prayers, your dedication to the ministry and all that you do that may go unnoticed. Want to welcome all of those in that are joining us. We're here at the Greenwood campus at the House of Reconciliation in Greenwood. We're going to talk to you a little bit today out of John 8:32 and Ecclesiastes 7 and 12. And one of the things that when I watched, I was looking at, it was an animation of, I think they call it the Great Ice Melt, where they had these, I think it was Queen Latifah, and she was a mammoth, but she grew up and they had told her she was a possum because she was raised by possums. She had gotten lost or separated from her family. And many people today have never, regardless of their age, discovered who they are, what they are, and their purpose. They never discovered who they are, what they are, or their purpose. Because what happens is when you're young and you're innocent, things and people can shape your perception of yourself. Now here goes the problem. Most of your gifts and talents are not common to your family. So then it's very hard to find support in a place that does not understand your gifts. And so you're always at conflict. And just a simple analysis is like, if you never had anyone in your culture, in your family, to go to college or to go get an associate's degree, they're not going to understand why you're going. Because everything in their zone works. Here's the problem. Their zone don't have a future. So for the writers, I want you to write, there are two things that are relevant: your present and your future. And if those two don't work together, you will always be crippled by your past. Now, what is my past? It's what people said you were, not what God projected you to be. So people's opinions have shaped 99.9% of the world. You country, you're not supposed to have that. Here is one of the greatest mistakes people make. Well, I want to be what my mama was. I want to be what my dad. No. You're not your mother. You're not your father. You're you. So what we're going to do, one of the things that I think was came to light in Greenville, what will you do with your fuel? Well, the first part of the fuel is this word that nobody cares for, is pain, and most people don't know what to do with pain. Pain is something that should bring you into focus about your purpose and your destiny. Here goes the problem. Pain brings out your feelings and emotions. And when we're in our feelings and emotions, we get no direction. Because I look for comfort. I look for someone to agree with me. Pain is what we call the claws of life. It's not there to kill you, but it's there to make you press on. Many people quit and give up. Whether they have a physical condition, whether they have a mental condition, they quit. So here is what I consider a form of grasshopper mentality. The little white lies we tell ourselves. Because fear will encourage you to do nothing. Fear will stop you from communicating to get the right information. Fear will play with the illusions in your mind. Fear will play with hallucination. Fear will play off of anger, weakness, and emotions. Because we don't understand life is about process. How quickly do we just want it to go away? So when Jesus was speaking to the Jews, he said these words. He says, and ye shall know the truth. But if you don't want to hear the truth, and the reason people don't want to hear the truth is because the truth stings. You could be successful, but here's the thing I would say. I would ask this question and you don't have to answer. Who and what has captured your dreams? Something has your dreams and your desires and your talents held hostage. I'm too old to start a business. Well, ain't nobody in my family ever did anything like that. I'm just saved on my way to heaven, and I'm so glad. Broke, dumb, and stupid. Yeah. You know, Jesus gave manna in the wilderness. He ain't giving no more. Here's the thing. When you accept who you are, and you can't accept who you are in a crowd of people, you almost have to be, to some levels, isolated. There comes a dark period in your life. It's called germination. It's called transition. So God doesn't put you out before people because you're not whole yet. See, it's okay to write, I'm not whole. I'm being made. So here's what it says. Most people are running away from the reset in their life. Do you really want to know what that means? What was working is no longer working, and it has no path forward. Okay? Prime example. Work for a company 15, 20, 30 years. All of a sudden they close down. In 30 years of working for the company, you never built your way out. You never started a business. You never started a side business. You just worked for them because everybody in my family was just a worker. And I think some of you who were part of the original church, I used to have a saying, the world, anybody remember what I used to say? Is coming down your street whether you are ready or not. The world. which reality is coming to your street, your address, as well as mine, whether we are ready for it or not. Here's what happens. We have to stop adapting to people's failures. Biggest pity zone, biggest comfort zone you can find. You know what we say in there? Yeah, child, I know how it is. That's an excuse not to get up. It's easy to stay in the bed and hide your head underneath the covers and your pillows. But at some point, you're going to have to come out and do business. And at some point, you're going to have to come out and have a conversation. Here goes the problem. When you come out with an attitude. You 30 years old. You 25 years old. Can you cut the AC off? We ain't going to be here that long. I don't want the mothers to freeze. I don't want the mothers to freeze. Because Jesus, I don't know what she'd have wore at my funeral, and I ain't trying to get one for hers. You know. But fear will make you hide under the bed. Fear will make you not talk. Fear will close you down. And I can always tell when it's fear, because when I speak to someone, the first thing I get is the worst side of them. I get the attitude. I get the I'm having a bad day. Your day don't have nothing to do with you and I talking. That's the easiest form of saying, I don't want to deal with reality. Yes, sir. It ain't my problem. But it's my sister, it's my brother, it's my aunt, it's my uncle. And so there are other ethnicity groups that know that if they can stimulate your feelings, they can embark you on ignorance. I've said it before, I'll say it again. In any situation, you can get to the root cause if you ask the right questions. And they're simple. Who, what, when, where, and why. How, and the percentages. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to have a bachelor's degree. You don't have to have a master's degree. Explain to me what's the next step. Now you're using something that God gave you that's undeveloped. You know what that is? Your intellect and intelligence. You can't solve, there's so many people in school and in communities, and there are people that think they can say anything to you at any time in any kind of way, and people are beating their fanny all over the country. You can't even knock on people's doors now because of hatred and bitterness and unsettled issues in a person. So here is something when we go to Ecclesiastes 7 and 12. It says, for wisdom is a defense. Here is the problem. Most people, no, I'm checking my shirt, y'all. I know when I got old, and it looked like it was all like that. I want to make sure it's buttoned up right. I don't want to be special if I don't have to be, not today. I'm going to ask you, how many people are seeking wisdom as a defense? Knowledge. Now, the version I'm going to give you, and I'm sorry I didn't give you this, comes out of the Common English Bible. It says, wisdom protection is like protection of money. People don't attack you unless you have something of value. The problem is, society has gotten you and many people to devalue what they have. Number one, you have freedom beyond the pigment of your skin. Number two, you have God. So what people like to do is they like to use what I call the form of the grasshopper mentality. lie to me about who I am. How many lives, and I can speak to my friend here, how many times have people lied to you about who you are? You know why they lie to you about who you are? So you don't have any inner strength and any value. Because every person was given an innate inheritance by God. There is something, some level of a history in your family that hasn't been discovered because you're too busy looking at what was and what isn't. And so nobody's discovered, Lord, what is my gift to society? What is my gift to my family? What is my gift that can perpetuate wealth for me? Have you asked God that? And most of the gifts that God gives you, you don't like. Because we like finished product over seed product. See, God is not going to give you the apple. He's not going to give you the tree. He's not going to give you the branches nor the leaves. Ask me why. You ain't learned nothing from what he's already given you. But if he gives you the seed, now you become a student. You got to learn how long it's going to take for it to germinate. You got to learn what's the proper temperature for it. You got to learn how long it's going to take to come up. How long it's going to take to bear fruit. But see, if somebody give you an apple, you eat it, but you have no history of what it takes to accumulate it. So they will always have, and you will always be in need. So when he says in his word, wisdom protects. So if I know how the seed operates, if I know that I don't have enough resources around me, now I have to go seek out resources. Let me take y'all to the finish line real quick. The Common English Bible says, wisdom protection is like protection of money. See, if you don't have no wisdom, there's a good chance you're never going to have no money. Because it is the wisdom that protects the money. Now, I'm going to say something to you that you may have never heard. It is not how much money you get paid. It's how you can take your money and create wealth. How does your money make you money? Stuff at the house, stuff in the front yard, stuff in the backyard, stuff on the side of the house, stuff. How much can you get for that right now? We got more flea markets selling clothes and shoes and broken down furniture. Men and women have so many hair pieces, they could actually open up their own wig shop. Am I right or wrong? I saw a lady had like 50 wigs and in the store trying to buy 3 more. How many more set of nails do you need? Because here's the thing, and I'm going to give you this example. I said it earlier. There is a company that's 57 years old that's filing bankruptcy right now. Now, 57 years old. And the reason they're filing bankruptcy is because they didn't add e-commerce to their business. They kind of was slow with it. And the other major department stores, they added it because they still want customers to come in and buy on impulse when they didn't shift with the time. Now they file in bankruptcy, 57 years old. What do they call it? Bed, bath, and beyond? Now they file in bankruptcy. And the biggest reason is because they didn't build an e-commerce department. They still want you to come in the store. They still want you to look at things. And they didn't transition up. Now, they've been in the business 57 years old in some of the biggest brick and mortar places you can find. What you think your $2 gonna do? That's gonna get taken at the gas pump, because gas is going back up. They said we will not feel the weight of the economy until midsummer. And we still out here thinking, oh, I got a job and I'm okay, and we still in double digit, or right at 9% inflation, if not higher. Interest rates still double digits. We ain't praying, we ain't saving, we ain't creating a business. Jesus gonna fix it all, isn't he? And Jesus gonna say, look around your house, look at all the stuff you bought during COVID. Look at all them shoes you got in the closet. Look at all them mail units you got. Look at all them what do they call them? Where they put the wig on? Mannequin. Look at all the mannequin heads you got in the room. Male and female. God, I don't want no females beat me up, you know. Look at all the hair grease you got in the medicine cabinet. What did you save? So, here is the thing. People want to steal your innate inheritance, and then they crush your dreams. Lie to me about my dreams and about my vision. You should have a vision for your life. And if you don't, then pray and ask God, what is your purpose and your destiny? What am I? It's not what's in the mirror. It's what's inside of what's looking in the mirror. So it goes to this, and then lie to me about my spiritual birthright. Well, why would my spiritual birthright be significant? I have done well. I have accomplished certain things. So why do I need a spiritual birthright? A spiritual birthright is what's graft the natural and the spiritual to work together for the benefit of the person. The spiritual birthright brings along with it mercy, grace, wisdom, understanding, wise as a serpent, humble as a dove. It brings you things that you didn't get in your natural DNA. That's why that spiritual birthright is so critical. But what has been replaced with a spiritual birthright is religion and tradition. Because you can hear people brag about what denomination they are. You can hear people brag about what their religion is. But how many people do you know can brag about their faith? Jesus never came to establish tradition and religion. He came to establish a path back to God that started with faith. And what man did is put himself in the way of the path of faith and to God and made it traditional. And the Bible says the tradition of men make the word of God of no effect. So we're practicing things that God has no interest in. There's nothing wrong with having communion, but there's some people that will leave the church if you don't have communion every first Sunday and you don't wear black and white. And he just said, do this in remembrance of me. And we done come in and stuck something on it. And here's the thing. The disciples didn't wear black and white back then. So who made up that rule? Uncle Festus? Because there was a time that men couldn't have beard. The world, or the men, or And Jesus had a beard. What? You old enough to remember that? That was a time saints couldn't wear beards. Oh, yeah. That's what they're supposed to be clean. Where that at in the Bible? Am I right, Mother Coleman? You remember them? Looking worldly. Jesus had a beard. Jesus went around in sandals. We got to have on suits. We done made up some stuff, y'all. So then lie to me about my independence. Now here's a big one. God intended for you to help others. God has no problem with you working for others. But God has given you a level of independence for sustainability when others don't need your help anymore. See, there's certain cultures that teach their young boys skills, carpentry, plumbing, electricity. You know, a wall socket now to get put in is almost like $200, if not more. Plumbing, they buy stuff real cheap, charge you real high, then put some glue around it and tell you to hold on. I remember a plumber many years ago came to my house, and I was unskilled and uneducated, and charged me $343 for a flap. And when I looked at the bill, the flap was $1.99. The rest of it was labor. You don't think he been back, do you? Okay. Lie to me about my independence. See, in our culture, we look down on skills. You look at other cultures, most of the men have trucks behind them or trailers behind them every day. They're pulling something, they're taking something somewhere, and we trying to ride around looking like we all at the back, and they don't have no skills, no certifications, no qualifications. God requires your independence because you serve an independent God. Here is what I want to give you. Lies close off creativity to discover and develop who you are. I'm going to give you this and we're going to close. Stop adapting to people's failure and making it your own. What does that mean? Stop letting people make excuses for bad behavior. And you say it's okay. And I've told some parents this, you are the first sandpaper that your children meets. And you are the shape and sculpture them. Because when they leave your nest, the world's not going to do them any favors. And if they don't have any precondition and preset wisdom in them, the world will manipulate them to no end. So to hide your children and not to develop your children and to cover your children and not be frank and honest with your children, it's literally doing your children a disservice, because they're not going to function that well outside the door. The pet in the family never does well in society, and they never do well in relationships because they are always used to having their way. Petted people don't do well. They cut up, they spoil, they have attitudes. Everybody got time for that foolishness? Listen, don't walk in fear, walk in purpose. Only person that can give you purpose is the one that created you, Jesus Christ. Here's a nugget for you. Our minds want to worry, but our faith want to build. To be successful comes with failure. Failure is a key component to success. Failure teaches you what not to do any longer. Failure teaches you bad practices. Many people are stuck on the failure and never learn the lesson. Here is something you must know. Your success will remind too many people of their failure. What does this mean? I want you to take the next week and observe your association. You probably cannot count on one hand how many skilled friends you have. Friends who have different professions that can help you from different angles of your life. Most people in your life is a dream. They take, they complain, they judge, they withhold. Have you ever seen anybody that need to tell you something, but they won't tell you, but they use that as power to hold over you? They can know, but they don't want you to know. That's a drain. That's someone that pulls from you, but never deposits into you. You want to, and it just doesn't happen overnight. But over time, I've discovered I need people who can pour into me. They can pour wisdom. They can pour knowledge. They can pour understanding. They can pour experience. They can help me cope with failure. They can show me a path forward. They can connect me to resources that can help me. They're such a help that they'll look you in the face and say, you need to go to the hospital. Do not sit here another minute. There are people that when you don't understand, they can stand in the gap for you and understand what other people are doing. Those are the people you need to be around. The group is not your group. The group that's, well, you know what it is, man. You know, your dog, you know, it's just a hand you dealt player. You just, how you, I mean, you know, it is what, that's a dream. They can't give you one number to call. All they can say to you, bunnies, y'all better do something. They don't right set you. People who bring something can right set you, because they're not there for your feelings and emotions. They're there for you to win. So here's something. Light is like knowledge. It fuels growth. You want to be around people that have a huge upside, and they can connect you to people. Here is what you want to stay away from. Toxic environment, toxic relationships, and toxic people. They full of mess. They always want to laugh at someone. Last but not least, you can't make people see what they don't want to believe. Can't do it. No matter who you are. Doesn't matter how you kick and spit and holler and scream and dance around and jigaboo. They'll walk right out that door and be faithless. Israel didn't cross over because of their history. It was in the destiny of their history that they crossed over. But because they had no faith. Because there comes a time in your life, and this is not a good word, that you got to fight. And that's not a physical fight. That is a spiritual. That is a fight with knowledge. Because some people will tell you anything to keep you for progressing. So if you get nothing else today, as we get ready to close, you can't make people see what they don't want to believe. What do you mean? You have a skill, but the skill you have, and you're talented, requires certification. But you don't see the need to go back and get a certification or an education. I shared this with my son. At the time, he wanted to study auto mechanics. And I said to him, there's two sides of it. You can be a grease monkey that change oil for $10. Or you can get the ASE or AESC, I think it's ASE certification, that you go from $10 to a minimum of $36, as high as $150 and $200 an hour, all because you have a certification. And then if you specialize in either electronics or motor or whatever, the pay scale goes up. But if you just get in and say you're a mechanic and you know 30% of the knowledge and missing 70% of the knowledge, at these major dealerships, you will always be changing oil. At $10 an hour. Here's what I'll say in closing. If you take the risk on yourself, watch God grow your gift. God bless you. I'll see you soon.